Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are strapping in for a pretty high-octane, high-concept journey into the world of cinematic illusion, high-stakes crime,
Right.
and, well, in some extremely complicated stage direction.
Laughing slightly. That's
Yeah.
putting it mildly.
We are tearing apart the Now You See Me film series, a really fascinating blend of a heist flick, a revenge drama, and, of course, a magic show.
And we really do mean tearing it apart. Our source material for this isn't just a simple plot summary. It's a really comprehensive alternative review and a full structural breakdown that meticulously digs into every single magic trick, every piece of hidden symbolism.
Every little hint.
Exactly. Every element of narrative planting the filmmakers laid out for us.
So our mission today is to give you a shortcut to understanding these films on a really granular level. We're
Yeah.
using this dense, detailed material not just to appreciate the illusions, which are spectacular,
I hope they are.
but to understand the structure of deception itself. What does the constant interplay between performance, high-tech social engineering, and misdirection tell us about effective narrative and, why these stories hook us so completely?
It tells us that the film's central theme, the closer you look, the less you see. It applies just as much to us, the audience watching the film. We're going to be analyzing the characters' actions through the lens of performance ethics, technology, showing how the movies balance verifiable real-world techniques with what is, frankly, outright narrative magic.
Yeah.
So this deep dive is really designed for the learner who wants to appreciate those subtle, masterful strokes that make great cinematic storytelling feel, impossible.
And that distinction you mentioned between real technique and cinematic license, that is going to be so crucial as we go through this. Okay, let's unpack this, starting right at the beginning with the individual ingredients that made the magic happen, the Four Horsemen. The first film does, I think, a masterful job of introducing these characters and defining their skills through four distinct classic magic genres in those opening sequences.
It's cinematic economy at its absolute finest. They define personality through specialized skill instantly. So for Daniel Atlas, his core is just pure, unadulterated sleight of hand.
Right, the card guy.
The card guy. The film introduces him with this breathtakingly fast shuffling and cardistry. But here's where the analysis gets really rich. The sheer technical difficulty of those rapid-fire card flourishes means that a lot of the time, those specific shots weren't actually performed by the actor.
So wait, if the actor wasn't doing it, who was?
The filmmakers actually used the hands of genuine experts, specifically the renowned cardistry magicians, the D and David B brothers. Their phenomenal performances were then digitally mapped onto the actor's hands.
No way.
Yeah, it creates this fascinating paradox where to sell the reality of an impossible skill, they had to employ digital artifice. The illusion of perfection required a high-tech cheat.
That is a critical insight right there. It shows the film isn't afraid to use technology to enhance what looks like pure manual skill.
Yeah.
It's high-tech supporting low-tech mastery. But, the speed required for Daniel's signature card color change trick, that's still rooted in massive practice.
Oh, absolutely. The instantaneous shift, that flashing color change, it's deceptively simple in concept, but it's impossible to execute perfectly without years of just grinding practice. Magicians like Luquin have talked about needing high-speed cameras just to capture the process.
Just to prove it's real.
Just to prove that the technique, while incredibly quick, is still tangible. It confirms that Daniel's commitment to the craft is, generational.
And his environment, his room, it foreshadows his eventual destiny as the leader of the Horsemen.
Yes. Daniel's room is not just a stage, it's a shrine to magic history. You see these vintage posters of legends like Houdini and Chung-Ling Soo, masters of grand illusion and escape.
Right.
But the most significant detail, the film's first major hidden hint, is the poster that clearly features the word safe.
Ah, there it is.
This signals his immersion in the lore of magic history and directly points towards the crucial role of safes and escape hacks in the firm's overall story. He didn't just stumble into the eye, he was pre-selected because of this deep knowledge.
Okay, so having established Daniel as the technical purist, let's move to the most controversial of the bunch. Merritt McKinney, the street mind reader. Our sources acknowledge he's the most structurally challenging horseman, especially by the sequel.
Yeah, that's when his abilities just venture beyond simple psychological tricks into outright instantaneous mind control.
It gets a bit much.
It does. And you need to understand the line the film crosses here. Real-world mentalism or, stage hypnosis, it's highly specialized. It requires participant cooperation, high sensitivity. It's about suggestion, not immediate domination. Merritt, however, wields this instant powerful hypnosis that makes him more of a narrative convenience than a grounded magician.
It's where the film sacrifices its own commitment to realism for plot momentum, but his core techniques are still based on real mentalism, cold reading and hot reading. Can you walk us through those?
Sure. Think of cold reading as high-speed, educated guessing, powered by extreme observation. So Merritt scans a person, their clothes, their body language, facial microexpressions, jewelry, and he rapidly infers their background, social status, their secrets. And he's constantly adjusting his verbal prompts based on their tiny physical reactions.
It's a high-wire act.
It's a total high-wire psychological tightrope walk.
And how's that different from hot reading?
Hot reading is much simpler and, you could argue, less skillful. It's just gathering factual information secretly beforehand, usually through, paid surveillance or simple background checks. A good stage mentalist will blend the two techniques to create an effect of impossibly deep insight.
The moment where Merritt exposes the husband's affair in the street is just a masterclass in cold reading, isn't it?
It is, right up until the end. He runs through the alphabet, fishing for a reaction. When he hits the letter J, the husband's body language just gives him away. A flinch, a tightening of the jaw, something. A tiny tell. And Merritt uses that momentary weakness to escalate the psychological pressure, drilling down on names and relationships until he deduces the affair with the wife's sister.
But then, boom. Instant hypnosis to make the wife forget the entire traumatic exposure. That's the point where the narrative just cheats its own rules. It moves from psychology to sorcery, like you said.
Exactly. It's an example of how the filmmakers use magic as a tool for ethical cleanup. If the revelation causes trauma, the movie magic just steps in to erase the consequences. It's the definition of convenient storytelling, and it underscores that Merritt's primary function is less about illusion and more about psychological manipulation.
Okay, next up we have Jack Wilder, the agility specialist. He's the pickpocket and the quick change artist.
Pickpocketing is often overlooked as a form of magic, but it's entirely dependent on the same principles: misdirection, placement, substitution. Jack's initial performance, combining these complex foldable card illusions with agile theft, it highlights his speed, his dexterity, and crucially, his willingness to be physically intrusive.
His quick change element is key too. He's not just stealing, he's shifting attention through rapid physical transformation.
And this feeds directly into his later function in the heists. That infamous bending spoon trick he performs in the initial sequence. It's often cited as a simple substitution. He just swaps two different spoons during the misdirection.
Simple, but effective.
The simplest explanation, hidden by distraction, is always the most effective.
And finally, rounding out the team, we have Henny Reeves, the escapist, performing that spectacular, life-threatening underwater escape. It's impossible not to draw parallels to Harry Houdini.
Oh, it's a direct homage to Houdini's classic water torture cell.
Yeah.
But Houdini, ever the master of stagecraft, would usually use a curtain to hide the mechanical operation, give himself time to work the locks.
But the film couldn't do that. The audience has to see the peril.
Exactly. And the added danger. The piranhas.
Yeah, the piranhas.
That was a brilliant cinematic addition from the producer, Alex Kurtzman. The piranhas just elevate the threat to a lethal level, and it justifies using a glass tank without a curtain. The transparency heightens the tension, not just for the fictional audience, but for us watching the film.
But the detail here that really blurs the line between performance and reality is the unscripted drama during the filming itself.
This is a perfect anecdote. It shows that thin line between choreographed risk and genuine danger. There was a moment during one take where the safety quick-release mechanism actually failed. The actor was genuinely trapped underwater, running out of oxygen.
And the crew thought his frantic actions were just part of a brilliant performance.
Precisely. They were so absorbed in the perceived realism of the struggle that they failed to realize the panic was real until he started desperately banging on the glass. A stunt coordinator had to intervene instantly. But the point is, that genuine, unfiltered moment of fear and desperation was actually edited and woven into the final cut. It adds this element of gritty authenticity to the illusion. The cinematic magic benefited from a very real, non-scripted accident.
So we've established our 4 players, all defined by their specialized forms of deception. They were perfect tools. But who was the hand wielding those tools? That takes us to the eye and the secret call to action that unites them.
The eye is introduced as this ancient, shadowy, clandestine organization. We learn their stated purpose is to use magic not for profit, but to punish greed, aid the weak, and restore public faith.
They're like magical vigilantes.
Essentially. modern-day Robin Hoods, using trickery for righteous retribution, robbing the rich to aid the poor.
And the invitation comes via 4 unique playing cards. Let's talk about the symbolism on the card back. It features an eye, specifically the right eye.
The detail here is profound. It draws from ancient Egyptian mythology. When we talk about the Eye of Horus, there's a duality. The left eye often represents the moon, protection, healing, but the right eye belongs to the sun god Ra. The Eye of Ra symbolizes supreme power, dominion, surveillance.
And the active ability to combat evil.
Right. It's about enforcing cosmic order. So, by featuring the right eye, the organization immediately asserts itself as this omnipotent, watchful presence, a controlling, sun-like power that oversees events and selects who is worthy.
And the tarot cards on the front of the cards, they provide this deeply embedded foreshadowing for the whole film.
It's an elegant way to define their destiny. Daniel receives the Lovers.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, signifying relationship, connection fitting for his role as the magnetic central pivot of the new team. Henny gets the High Priestess, representing mystery, intuition, hidden skills, which aligns with the escapist. Merritt gets the Hermit, which speaks to inner exploration, intellectual distance, his unique skill set.
And then there's Jack's card, the one that carries the most potent hidden hint, setting up the most shocking twist.
Jack receives the Death card. And we have to clarify, in tarot, this card almost never means literal death. It signifies drastic transformation, the end of an old way of being, and the beginning of a new phase. This is the second major narrative hint the filmmakers planned, leading directly up to his staged demise and return.
They're telling the audience, don't take everything at face value.
Not for a second. And they gather in this mysterious apartment where they get the final card. Now you don't.
Such a great line.
That's a brilliant narrative loop. It's a direct reference to their future stage motto, the closer you look, the less you see. But here, the card flips the narrative on them. They've been brought physically close to the eye, but they are still completely clueless. They don't see the true mastermind.
And this all leads directly to their first grand illusion, the Vegas bank heist, where they managed to transfer 3 million euros from a French bank vault in real time. The spectacle is what gets you, but the mechanism is pure, elaborate stagecraft.
It's the ultimate misdirection. The audience focuses on the impossible teleportation of the money, while the real mechanics are happening right beneath the floorboards. The core of the trick was a staged, perfect 1.1 replica of the French bank vault, constructed under the Vegas stage.
But the real money had to appear in Vegas somehow. How did they pull that off?
The analysis suggests the real money was swished with prop money, much earlier, probably during transit. So when the horsemen perform that spectacular vanishing act on stage, they aren't sucking up real currency, they use flash paper.
What is that exactly?
It's a standard magician's tool. It's a type of paper that burns instantly and leaves no residue. So they use that to destroy the prop money on cue. The real 3 million euros was already staged above the audience, ready to be deployed from the ceiling in that breathtaking shower of cash.
And the critical ingredient, the random volunteer, the French tourist.
He was entirely non-random. The research shows he was carefully selected, tracked, and subjected to a process called squatting, or long-term psychological conditioning, to make sure he would be at the show and perform his role perfectly.
He was a cog in the machine.
The most crucial piece of clockwork in the entire illusion.
But the sources also flag what seems like a major flaw, or maybe a brilliantly hidden clue spotted by the magic debunker, Bradley.
This is a perfect example of the writers showing they didn't cheat the audience. So the Frenchman puts his signed card and his ticket into the vault before the money is supposedly sucked away.
Right.
So if that suction was powerful enough to pull 3 million euros in cash through the system, why did the much lighter poker card and ticket remain perfectly in place?
It's a great point. They wouldn't have.
Exactly. It's a simple detail that confirms the impossibility of the vacuum and reinforces that the money never moved from the French vault. The whole thing was theatrical dressing for a substitution trick.
The audacity of the heist brings in the FBI, and we meet Agent Dylan Rhodes and his French counterpart, Agent Alma Dre. A fun little nod here is that both actors, Mark Ruffalo and Melanie Laurent, previously worked on Batman films.
Right, Alfred and Lucius Fox, basically.
During the interrogation, the horsemen use their skills not to fight, but to mock the FBI. It's where Merritt's abilities become truly invasive.
Oh yeah. First, they deal with the French tourist, who Alma correctly deduces was hypnotized. The film even confirms it with a quick shot of the hypnotic induction. But then Merritt turns on the FBI personnel themselves.
He's brutal.
He uses this devastating blend of cold and hot reading to expose the security guard's deeply personal secret, his desire to cross-dress. The humiliation is instant, and it establishes Merritt's psychological power and the FBI's inability to control the situation.
But the real narrative planting happens when Merritt turns his sights on Dylan.
Absolutely. Merritt doesn't just mock Dylan. He targets a profound emotional wound, throwing out these psychological barbs about Dylan's deep-seated father issues and a tragedy involving a missing man. It's a small, seemingly throwaway taunt.
That pays off big time later.
Huge. It only makes sense when we understand the depth of Dylan's motivation.
Then Daniel performs the classic key in the sealed container trick, the handcuff escape, with the key appearing inside an unopened Pepsi can.
The handcuff escape is standard sleight of hand. The cuffs were already open. The real magic is the key in the sealed can. This is achievable in the real world, but in the film, Alma is the one who opens the can, making it nearly impossible without pre-planned support.
So what does that tell us?
Our analysis suggests it confirms the horsemen were not only fully prepared to be arrested, but the entire drink key included was prepared beforehand by the planner. Their capture was part of the show.
It underscores that the performance of being captured was as much of an illusion as the heists themselves.
This all sets the stage for the next major plot driver, the introduction of Bradley, the professional magic debunker, and the heavy theme of the ethics of revealing secrets.
Bradley's character immediately brings in the real-world context of the magician's code. Magic depends on secrecy and the willing participation of the audience.
And violating that code, historically, carries severe consequences. Our research highlights that 1990s TV show that publicly exposed grand illusions. The masked magician, W. Valentin, he faced tremendous professional backlash.
So this is a real thing.
Oh yeah. He was ostracized, faced massive lawsuits, even death threats. This history emphasizes the weight of the film's central tragedy. Bradley's exposure of a trick 30 years prior inadvertently led to the death of the magician Shrike Dylan's father. The stakes are profoundly personal.
And the entire film is driven by that need for justice, which leads us to the second heist, exposing the corrupt investor, Arthur Tressler.
This act is framed as a traditional magic show, but the central mechanism is highly advanced social engineering. High-tech digital scam blended with psychological manipulation, all wrapped up in a performance.
And the audience itself wasn't random.
Not at all. They were meticulously selected victims of Arthur's insurance fraud. And Arthur himself supplied the critical password hints. They were subtly extracted earlier, during casual conversation on his private jet.
That detail is so relevant to our modern understanding of digital security.
It's a profound demonstration of how vulnerability is created through trust, and the grand switch that follows is the payoff. Merritt seemingly reads Arthur's $140 million account balance and makes it rain cash, transferring the funds digitally to the audience, robbing the rich to aid the poor.
But the twist happens when Dylan runs up to arrest them. He yells out a phrase, but it's the wrong one.
This is a critical moment. The sources reveal that Merritt had hypnotized 12 audience members beforehand to believe they were football quarterbacks. Dylan yells the wrong trigger phrase, causing those 12 people to riot violently,
creating the perfect distraction.
It's irrefutable evidence pointing toward his complete complicity. He wanted them to get away.
Then, the fake death. The FBI chase leads to Jack Wilder's spectacular, fiery car crash. It really seems to confirm the foreshadowing of his death tarot card.
It's meant to be shocking, but the writers give us two major deliberate clues. First, moments before the chase, Dylan jumps into a garbage chute and sees a safe explicitly marked as belonging to Shrike, his father.
So he's tracking his father's old haunts.
Exactly. And the second clue is in the aftermath of the explosion. Jack, who appears dead, is still clutching blueprints for the next target, a $500 million haul. Why would a dying man be holding the next target's plans?
Unless he was delivering them. The whole death was a delivery system.
Precisely.
So this leads the FBI to a warehouse where they find the vault already empty.
And here is where the threads truly begin to weave together. The warehouse manager is suspiciously cooperative, saying he was told by the FBI chief to move the money. The key detail is that the target of this heist is the very same company that supplied the faulty water tank that killed Shrike.
So all three heists, the bank, Arthur Tressler, and this company, they're all connected to Shrike's death. It's one unified revenge plot.
And that leads to the definitive, brilliant realization. Dylan Rhodes, the FBI agent leading the investigation, is the secret fifth horseman and the mastermind. His position wasn't an obstacle, it was his greatest asset. It allowed him to move faster than everyone.
Okay, let's just slow down and appreciate the elegance of this reveal, because the sources provide meticulous evidence. Run down the specific clues for Dylan being the mastermind one more time.
It's a compelling list. 1, the Rose quote in the apartment, suggesting the person who summoned them had a changed name or identity. 2, the Shrike safe in the garbage chute, linking Dylan directly to his father's past.
3 was Merritt's taunt.
Exactly. Merritt's taunt about his father issues. 4, Dylan shouting the wrong trigger word, guaranteeing the escape. 5, Dylan discovering his own tapped phone, which was his prearranged cue. And 6, his desperate attempt to save Jack was actually him securing the blueprint clue.
It's stunning. Every seemingly emotional or accidental moment was choreographed. He was controlling the narrative for everyone.
And in the final scene, we get the closure. Dylan brings the horseman to the tree, where his father, Shrike, performed his decades-long poker card trick. They are officially initiated into the eye. The revenge plot is complete.
That closure, however, only sets up a new series of complications. We jump 3 years later to Now You See Me Too, and the analysis immediately notes a significant shift in tone.
A huge shift. The sequel had to address the departure of Isla Fisher's character and the need to expand the commercial appeal by going global.
Right, the move to Macau.
Yeah, reflecting the background of the director, John M. Chu, a Taiwanese-American director, and the desire to integrate Eastern elements, including Jay Chou, who is a real-life magic enthusiast.
But here's the critical critique of the sequel. The sources argue that it moves far beyond real-world magic and straight into outright sorcery.
The prime example is hypnosis. In the first film, it was used sparingly. In the sequel, mind control becomes ubiquitous and overly convenient. It instantly solves major plot problems.
So it sacrifices the cleverness for spectacle.
It does. It makes the magic feel less clever and more like a superpower.
Despite that, the opening still follows the tradition of introducing the new horseman, Lula, with a signature trick.
Yeah.
The spectacular guillotine beheading illusion.
A classic illusion. And despite the high-tech context, the director insisted on using practical effects. They used a highly modified couch prop with a hidden compartment. When the blade drops, a high-speed wire mechanism yanks Lula's real body instantly into the compartment.
And just like with Henny's escape, there was a real physical sacrifice for the realism.
Exactly. The actress required repeated high-speed drops. The process was highly physical and caused her significant discomfort. It's an interesting paradox. Even when the story leans toward fantasy, the production still invests heavily in the physical stagecraft.
So the new mission is delivered by Dylan, but Daniel's ego gets in the way. The target is a tech CEO with a smartphone that has a massive privacy backdoor, a master key chip.
This is where the story shifts into high-stakes ethical espionage. Magic is now the tool to expose a major global privacy breach.
The Macau setup is another classic misdirection sequence, but the cinematic highlight is the incredible card relay scene.
That scene is arguably the most memorable piece of cinema in the entire franchise. It took 2 weeks to film. The horsemen are undergoing these intense body searches, and they're rapidly passing the chip-bearing card between them, using sleeves, collars, precise hand motions.
It looks physically impossible. How much of that was real versus CGI?
It was a blend. The actors trained extensively on these difficult real-world maneuvers. But CGI was extrally layered in for seamless transitions, allowing the card to defy gravity or move with impossible speed between cuts.
And the culmination of that scene relies on a perfect distraction at the metal detector.
Exactly. Jack's quick thinking saves the day. He intentionally causes a diversion by demanding his metal wallet back, setting off the alarm, which creates the split second needed for Merritt to fly the card past the machine. Low-tech misdirection beats high-tech security.
So with the chip stolen, Daniel attempts to bypass Dylan, desperate to prove himself.
And this ambition is what unravels the plot. He meets Walter Mabry, not the Eye. Walter, a tech genius, used technology and Daniel's own ego to trick him. And this is the moment Dylan gets the ominous Fool or Joker card on his palm.
Tarot Zero, which means what? An outside player.
Exactly. An unknown journey, a player outside the established order, someone the Eye didn't see coming.
And that new force is revealed to be Merritt's estranged twin brother, Chase.
Yeah. Chase, using that super convenient hypnosis again, kidnaps the horsemen and delivers them to Walter.
This sets up the critical conflict. Dylan is captured by Walter and his backer, Arthur Tressler. Surprise! Walter is Arthur's illegitimate son, seeking revenge for the money he lost.
Arthur's revenge is deeply cyclical. He locks Dylan into the exact same type of faulty safe that killed his father and tosses him into the water.
But Dylan flashes back to his father's teaching, uses the design flaws in the safe, and a clue from the Macau magic shop owner to escape. He's rescued by the horsemen.
And the team quickly realizes the chip they stole was a fake. This pushes Dylan to make an even bigger move, seeking help from Bradley in prison.
Bradley agrees to help in exchange for freedom, and this is where he tests Dylan one last time.
Right, this is a key moment of value output. Bradley tells him he must release his decades of hatred and revenge to truly lead the Eye. It's about choosing leadership over personal vengeance.
So the United team announces a massive New Year's Eve performance in London to lure Walter and Arthur. Before the main event, Daniel performs the Control the Rain trick.
This is a favorite moment because the film actually commits to a scientific explanation. It's the strobe effect, isn't it?
It is pure science, and it's brilliant cinema. It worked by matching the frequency of a flashing strobe light to the speed of the falling water droplets. Your eye is tricked into seeing the droplets suspended or moving in reverse.
It's a powerful, elegant reminder that the best illusions rely on exploiting known flaws in human perception.
It's the perfect warm-up, setting the stage for the grand finale.
Walter and Arthur take the bait. They capture the horseman and Dylan and take them aboard a private jet, believing they're safe.
Walter forces them to hand over the chip and celebrates with a toast, but the taste of victory is literally sour.
The moment he sips the wine, he realizes it tastes terrible. It's cheap wine. Arthur picks up the bottle, checks the date, and finds the Fool Joker card hidden there. That's the clue that the entire scene is a lie.
The plane lights go dark and the horsemen appear outside the window. The grand reveal is that the plane never took off.
The ultimate narrative misdirection. The entire takeoff was simulated inside a hangar, orchestrated with lights, sound, wind machines, and staging to fool everyone. The whole kidnapping was part of the illusion, broadcast live to the world.
And a real chip.
Switched multiple times, secured by other members of the Eye, confirming the organization's massive deep reach across the globe.
The final layer of the illusion is unveiled when they're brought to the Eye headquarters. Dylan is shocked to discover that Bradley,
The magic debunker, the antagonist of the first film,
is an original, key elder of the Eye.
This completely reframes Bradley's role. He wasn't just investigating, he was testing Dylan, guiding him through a brutal process to ensure he would release his hatred and choose genuine leadership over revenge.
Bradley formally passes the leadership of the Eye to Dylan. The horsemen are accepted as full members, ready for their next mission.
And it leaves you with the profound sense that every single event, the betrayals, the defeats, was orchestrated for a greater ethical purpose.
And that ties together both films beautifully. This deep dive really reveals the power of the series lies not just in the spectacle, but in its meticulous narrative architecture.
The key themes consistently highlight the blend of high-tech social engineering and ancient misdirection. The plots are driven by powerful emotional drivers: grief, revenge, ambition, which the Eye exploits and tests.
The ultimate takeaway is the power of perspective. The series constantly tells you the closer you look, the less you see. The truth is often hidden in plain sight, obscured by the flashy performance.
It's a potent allegory. When technology can generate fake realities at the snap of a finger, like the hangar simulation, we have to remain critical thinkers. The films remind us to always seek the real mechanism behind the spectacle.
The source material mentions that the third film is coming soon, with the original director. Given the increasing focus on advanced tech and global influence, what kind of impossible illusion will the Eye ask Dylan and the Horsemen to pull off next? What global technological problem will they tackle?
That is the essential question left hanging, isn't it? When the ultimate debunker becomes the ultimate illusionist, the stakes stop being personal and start being systemic. We're eager to see what new layer of reality they decide to peel back.
And that is a wrap on our deep dive into the secrets and symbolism of the Horsemen. Until next time.